Hey, what's up, guys? Just really quick, want to talk about 26.1, my initial thoughts, Coach Jake's initial thoughts. So let's get right into it. First thing for me, right, I like the slight increase in skill. In years past, it's been a lot of burpees, so pretty much low skill, meaning someone that doesn't necessarily do CrossFit could come in and do really well on the first workout. I like this increase in skill to a wall ball, which takes some accuracy, squat mechanics, and then also the box jump over. So things that we do here all the time in CrossFit that I think gives us an advantage relative to just someone else jumping in to do the workout. So that's my initial take on whether I like it or not. Couple of things. One, this is a short time frame, 12 minutes, and so a lot of people, like CrossFitters, will want to go out of the gates as hard as possible. That's where the workout can be lost, especially on something like a wall ball, where people tend to hold their breath and they struggle with mechanics. They may try to go for too big of a set, and all of a sudden 2 or 3 minutes into the workout, you've kind of lost your breathing capacity and you're not able to get it back under control. So definitely start a little slower than you think and make sure you're pacing right. Like I wrote, 12 minutes is short. Set a realistic expectation. Jake and I were just talking about this. A lot of coaches are talking about it. If you've done the workout Karen, which is 150 wall balls for time, right? That's a good measure of where you think you might get in this workout. A lot of people have a 10-minute Karen. This is a 12-minute workout. So look at the workout. See where 150 to 180 reps is, if that's your time. And then that's kind of a realistic expectation, right? We're not Colton Mertens. We're not going unbroken and finishing this thing in under 12 minutes. The one thing I said is if you finish the round of 66 wall balls, it's 209 reps. That averages about to 3.44 seconds a rep. If you've ever done the workout Fran, really short, that's a 5-minute Fran. That's a pretty fast Fran, right? So think about that. Getting through the round of 66 is like a 5-minute Fran, but for 12 minutes. So just again, set realistic expectations. I'll let Jay kind of give his initial thoughts too.
Yes, I mean, I kind of agree with everything that Tim just said. I think the big thing for people is to stay just under threshold the whole way. A lot of those open workouts come out and they have that tendency to kind of like throw you way outside of your comfort zone in the first 3 or 4 minutes, and then you have another 9 minutes to just kind of like make up for the mistake that you just made. So definitely be smart. I think as far as strategy is concerned, short intentional breaks on the wall balls so that you don't wind up blowing up too much. I heard a good strategy that you really should never do more than like 11 or 12 wall balls total. So like your first set is maybe 12 and 8 or 11 and 9, and then after that you're pretty much just hitting quick, consistent sets of 10. It almost doesn't matter how much you put the wall ball down as long as you pick it back up quick. So if you pick the wall ball up, you do a massive set, and then you wind up standing there with your hands on your knees for 30 seconds, you're going to be way better off just doing 3 sets of 10 with a 5-second break. The other thing is keep an eye on the clock. Every time the ball drops, it's going to feel like a really short rest, but in reality, as you guys probably know, 15 seconds feels like 15, or feels like, 30 seconds feels like 15 seconds. A minute starts to feel like 20 seconds, right? So you might not even be conscious of how long of a break you're taking unless you're actually watching the clock. So as soon as that ball hits the ground, look over at the clock, count yourself down from 10, count yourself down from 15, so you're picking the ball back up and you're getting right back to work, and you're never going to that point where it's unrecoverable, at least not until the last 1 or 2 minutes of the workout.
Yeah, I totally agree with Jake. When it comes to strategy, we use the word breathe. Obviously, that's very vague. But on the wall ball, we see a lot of people in class when they catch the ball, it's and they hold their breath as they go into the squat. So you got to try to find a normal breathing cadence where you're inhaling and exhaling continuously, and not at any point are you actually holding your breath. The efficiency of the movement's going to matter. So if you're someone that struggles to get below parallel, tight ankles, things like that, warm up extra. Throw on your lifting shoes if you need to, right? Make sure that you are as efficient as warm for that squat as possible, because it all comes down to wall balls. It's a wall ball workout, right? So we've got our squat mechanics. Part 2 of that is your catch and throw mechanics. What are you doing with your arms? Are you one of those people that throws up and then you're swinging your arms around and unnecessarily fatiguing your shoulders? Are you constantly falling forward because you're not hitting the wall? Maybe put a little chalk on the ground. Set yourself up for success, that you're kind of hitting the same standard every time on those mechanics. And like Jake said, I wrote this, know thyself, right? I typically would go big sets, but then I tend to rest for way too long. I'm starting to think for me in this workout, Jake's right, I might go for 10s and just try to take 2 quick breaths, pick it back up and move on. And then the last thing is on the box jump overs. If you haven't practiced them, it's a step down. You should definitely do some reps, making sure that either maybe you're doing them laterally or you're rotating in one direction. And certainly try the med ball step over. How are you going to hold the med ball? It's a little bit of a game on top of the box with crossing your feet, So make sure you have that under control before you try the workout. Anything else, Jake?
Not really. Again, like try not to blow your legs up and your heart rate up too much at the early stages of the workout, right? The first like 4 to 6 minutes. The second half of the workout, as long as you're able to kind of get through that bigger set of 66, that's where you want to kind of make your money a little bit more and try to get a little bit ahead of the crowd. But overall, it's going to come down to just staving off fatigue for as long as you can while also staying quick. So be intentional with your rest. Make sure you're watching the clock every time that ball drops, and then quick transitions back and forth between exercises. No reps are super costly, so even if it takes you a little extra energy, make sure you're squatting below parallel. Make sure you're putting a little extra oomph into the throw, and it's really a lot about timing, right? Just like Tim said, with squat mechanics, with the catch and throw mechanics, if you're throwing too early or if you're like already halfway down in the squat as the wall ball's coming down to you, it's going to wind up kind of crashing into you. And the more you put the ball down, the more you get your hands on your knees, the harder it's going to be for you to get back into the rhythm of the workout. So again, kind of like Tim said, I think those short intentional breaks are kind of the way to go on this one for sure, just to stave off that overall lactate fatigue, right, and that lactate buildup in the legs.
Awesome. Thank you for those insights. And guys, make sure you warm up tomorrow. Get those hips warm. Get yourself on a bike. Get your heart rate up a little bit. We all know wall balls and box jumps are going to get your heart rate jacked up pretty quickly. So make sure you're prepped for this workout. And we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow.
Yeah.